And basically this training is a component of a small project, which, hang on a second, I'm trying to go into the next slide. There we go, which is a collaborative effort between the Canadian Fund for Local Initiatives. They are basically the organization that is funding this project, and IECA, the National Food and Nutrition Security Commission, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Agriculture, and of course the Ministry of Health. So the aim of the project, as you will have gathered from yesterday, and of course the ongoing activities for today, presentations for today, is to promote healthy lifestyles and the consumption of locally produced fruits and vegetables. So in addition to this training, what we will be providing is a number of tools with the idea of helping you, teachers, in the important task of getting across this information to your students. So some of the tools that we are working on include a series of videos, one on healthy lifestyles, which will bring some of the information together on nutrition and what it means to live a healthy lifestyle, but also backyard gardening. So we have gentlemen from the Ministry of Agriculture, and ladies as well, who are presenting about their experience on how to produce seedlings, and we start from how to select the seeds, sowing the seeds, transplanting the seeds, and doing trellising as well. So it's be about 2 or 3 videos at the end, and provide a step-by-step guide for those who want to set up backyard gardens, and also to support teachers doing school gardens as well. So in addition, we have some posters that we are working on getting printed. So we have the food-based dietary guidelines for Belize, and I think everybody would have seen a poster similar to this. This is the draft version. So we're planning to have 1,000 copies of these that can be distributed to the schools, so then they can be used as help in your teaching activities, and then also a poster on to promote exercises that you could do with the kids in the classroom. And other posters as well we're working on is 3 more posters, basically to promote use of vegetables in the diet. So we have this as an example of one for the tomato, which gives an outline of the basic nutrients, the importance to the body, and an example recipe. And then we're also doing one for cucumber and sweet pepper. So that'll be a number of posters which will be distributed to the schools. And these are really reprinted from a Healthy Garden initiative that was printed in 2020 by these group of organizations at the top that you'll see there. So this might be a resource that you could go to for further information. And finally, we are also working with the Ministry of Agriculture, who are going to be producing seedlings. We have a total of 26,000 seedlings that the Ministry of Agriculture are producing, and we've just delivered some of the supplies to Central Farm and to the Orange Walk District Agricultural Office. And so these will be distributed to the schools in each of the districts, and it'll be producing 6 varieties of sweet pepper, white cabbage, hybrid broccoli, cantaloupe, tomato, and lettuce. So the idea for these seedlings to be used in the school garden programs, and I think either Emilio or Miss Cod will be contacting the schools shortly to double check that they're going to be available already to receive the seedlings. So that's it. That's my brief presentation, and so I hope this activity is helpful, and will be helpful in inspiring teachers and students to promote eating more fruits and vegetables and growing food in your school yards and home backyards as well. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of today's session. Thank you, Ms. Cod, and the rest of you as well for listening.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Williams. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Yes. I will now I will now put you on to Mr. Emilio Montero. I know a lot of you guys have know Mr. Montero. You have heard him with his presentations, and he's going to start off the presentation by talking about food security and agriculture. So Mr. Montero has been no stranger. He's with the Ministry of Agriculture, and he is the coordinator attached to the National Nutrition, Food and Nutrition Security Commission. So Emilio, go right ahead, sir. This is your time to shine. Emilio, we're not hearing you, sir. You have to put on your audio.
Sorry about that. Got excited a little bit, Ms. Yvonne, with your intro and with what Dr. Williams was saying, but I will have my camera on for a few minutes. As you see, it's sometimes the presentation, the audio is better when you don't have your camera on. So I'm just having it to say a few words where, in adding to what Dr. Williams is saying, as you can see, teachers, colleagues, what collaboration can do with just a few $1,000 that we were able to gather by partnering within our three key ministries of education, health, agriculture, and the international organization AICA. There are a lot of outputs that we are planning to do and distribute them nationally for your use in your classroom, and encourage and practice more the promotion of healthy eating, as well as using nutrition education in your science curriculum and in your other core subjects that you teach. That is important. So I will share my screen now and start with my presentation, linking school garden, agriculture to food security, and so on. Share content. Can you see my screen, Ms. Yvonne?
Yes, we are, Emilio.
Okay, thank you. That was a mega bingo, Ms. Yvonne, because I just learned that. Okay, so the idea then is to talk about school gardens as a teaching tool and also as a strategy for food security. So the NFNSC is the National Food and Nutrition Security Commission within our ministry. And what we are doing within our core members, ministries and international organization is the promotion of food, health, learning, and development. The program areas that we talk about, information, education, communication, which is one of the things that is the focus of the Canadian Fund for Local Initiative that we worked with. We also want to talk about diversifying food production, processing, school feeding, school gardens, which is one of the things we are promoting a lot, and nutrition also for the elderly and vulnerable and at-risk persons. So these are the program areas that we deal with: the creation of employment, income generation opportunities at the local level, of course, food safety, especially if a school is into promoting snacks, healthy snacks at schools and school feeding, the importance of ensuring that the food is safe for the children and other members like teachers that would buy from the school, food safety, and of course dealing with policies that will promote food security as well as nutrition security. So when we talk about food security, we are talking when it is there for all people at all times, that can have physical and economic access to the sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets the dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. And for that to happen, there needs to be four basic dimensions. Physical availability of food. Those of us that live in towns and cities, we know we can just go to the market and there we are able to see the food. So the availability, the access, jumping on your bicycle, on your car, to drive to the market. The access of it is important. Then the way the body utilizes it, the biological use, digestion, and so forth, and the absorption of the food once it is churned and it is in our digestive system for the nutrients to be absorbed. That's what we mean when we talk about the way the food is utilized by the body. And then stability. There needs to be stability of the 3 dimensions. And by stability, we mean having the consistency of a particular food types throughout the year, ongoing. Like for example, right now you pass on the roadside, you see a lot of tomatoes, a lot of sweet pepper, and other crops. So that needs to be stable throughout the year. So if now we have tons of tomatoes and in the next 2 months there is no tomato, then that is not creating stability. So in order for there to be food security, it is important that we have all these 4 dimensions. If not, then problems start to exist within the food chain, and then we start to become food insecure in certain types of food. So schools are very important. School gardens can make a big difference. That is where you can introduce your students into growing their own food and promoting the growing of their healthy foods and so forth. And once we pass on to our children in primary schools, high schools, and so forth, then everyone starting to grow their own food, then the country starts to become food secure. And this is what COVID has taught agriculture and taught the entire country. 2020, when the entire planet shut down in Belize, a lot of calls to the Ministry of Agriculture. Do we have enough rice? Do we have enough beans? Do we have enough corn and meat for the country? So all of a sudden, everyone kind of like awoke if we have enough food for the country. And good thing we did. So that also taught us to get into data collection and ensure that we always make sure that we have enough food for the country to feed our own population. So school gardens is and can be used as a strategy and as a teaching tool to promote agriculture and so on. And as we can see here, not only will it introduce us into agriculture, but school garden also promotes learning, cognitive processes, training of individuals. Our primary school children would be thinking more as the introduction of how to grow your vegetables would be carried on, making healthy choices, acting in their reality. This little boy, for example, would be growing or be taught to grow the lettuce behind him, and he can act in a reality and say, hey, I'm a farmer right now. So that is what we mean. They would be acting in their reality, wants to be a farmer. Critical comments, proposing changes in culture, agriculture, school gardens. Perhaps not all schools in the country do it. Again, that would be a culture that slowly we would need to start to introduce. It needs to be ongoing so that eventually it becomes just natural within our schools to have their own school gardens, to use it as an educational tool, as a teaching tool to promote the different skills that children can learn. So when we talk about food, I mean, there are so many things that you can talk and discuss and practice. You can talk about personal hygiene and food. You can talk about the distribution of food, the choice, teamwork, preparation, consumption, calories, nutrients. Yesterday, in Doris's presentation, if you noted, nutritionist talks about how much calories our body needs in order for it to have enough energy for the day. So we don't need 5 plates of rice and beans per se for lunch so that, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. No, it's important to know what portions to give our children at the infant stage, at the upper stage, upper levels, or even in high school. So it's important to know about the portions that we need to eat, because if we start to eat more than our body does not need, then that is where we start to become overweight. And if that continues, then we become obese. And then from studies within the region, we are seeing that within the region of the Caribbean and Central America, child overweight and obesity is on the rise. So where is the best way to tackle that is in our education system in primary schools, teaching our children about nutrition education and the importance of eating healthy. And that might not happen overnight, but it needs to be an ongoing practice culture that we need to introduce, because as we're finding out also now with COVID and most of us being stable and not be able to move around, we start to gain weight. You easily see that you start to gain weight, and then when that overweight starts to take control of us, then we start to experience different types of illnesses and so on. And if we don't do anything about it, then it becomes chronic, and the next thing we know, all those famous words that we hear: diabetes, cancer, hypertension, your cholesterol level is high, your triglyceride levels are high, and so on and so forth. So importance within this small project, and it came at the right time, within our ministries and our international partners. That will be our primary objective ongoing, the promoting of healthy eating, and also not only that, but physical activity, exercise is very, very important. So it's important, when we talk about school gardens, you can bring the classroom to the garden and use it to teach math and arts and so on and so forth. So this is where we as teachers, I was a teacher all my life. It's a pity I am not in the classroom, but once I keep, as the more and more I keep learning about this, I'm like, shoot, I wish I'm back in the classroom, because this is giving me other ideas of how I can make my 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 classes much more interesting and motivate the children to get into gardening, the experience at school, go home, and then they can start their own backyard gardening. So this needs to be ongoing. It needs to be ongoing, and as you saw in the short presentation of Dr. Steven from AICA, that's what collaboration does. He in the picture there, you were able to see two of our most knowledgeable people when it comes to how to go about growing seedlings, because that is also a skill. You just can't just plant a seed and expect it to grow. There are many other things that we need to know. So Oscar and Gary, very key within our horticulture unit, that are there to support us, just like all of us. At some point, we all grow thin stretched with the work that we do, but we try to do the best we can within the limited human resources that we have. So I'm preparing the school garden, knowing what to do and in what type of soil to plant your seed for it to grow into a seedling. Um, Very important. Just to let you know why it is important to grow seedlings within certain crops and not plant them directly into the soil, is because if you were to plant a seed directly into the soil, there are many challenges that seed will face for it to germinate. The soil might not be the right type. It might be filled with ants. There are other pests that might feed on it. So by the time you plant it, and in the next few days, germination should start. and when you see nothing grows. So what growing it in a nursery with polymix, which is a special type of mix, free of germs and so on, and giving it a few days and watering it under a cover structure, which also protects it from excess rainfall and sunlight and other pests, then that's why it's important for certain crops to be grown into seedlings, then given to you for transplanting, and then the success of survival for that seedling then is much higher. What we are doing with this project is Central Farm used to be this our hotspot where we would grow all the seedlings for distribution. But imagine growing seedlings in Central Farm and then having to transport it all the way to PG for schools there. The transportation then becomes a problem. Not only the transportation, but the wind. And there will be a lot of damage on the way. And by the time the seedling gets all the way to PG or Corozal per se, um, perhaps out of the tree that has 72 seedlings, maybe only a dozen of them would have made it healthy. So to avoid that, to avoid all those challenges, our Ministry of Agriculture, because we keep getting requests and petitions from schools, from farmers, and so on for donations of seedlings and so forth. What we have done now is we have a nursery out of Yo Creek Station in Orange Walk. We now have a nursery in Sand Creek and another one in PG. In Belize District, we don't have as yet because the station just relocated, but we will have one very soon. Corozal, where the station is, doesn't have space for a nursery. So in Corozal, we're having a challenge till our ministry finds a space where they can relocate the station, and then there would be an open area for a nursery. But what we are doing in this project is Orange Walk will be growing the seedlings for Corozal. So the transportation from Kai all the way to those two districts, for example, will not be there anymore. And now we know that Corozal is much closer to Orange Walk, so the damages will be very minimal. Since Belize District is not having a nursery right now, Central Farm will do it for the Belize District, so the distance again is very close. So the success rate of the seedling for survival is high. Sand Creek will now have theirs and PG. So what I'm trying to tell you is that within our Ministry of Agriculture, we also look at those challenges, because the more and more we are promoting agriculture and school gardens, we keep getting more and more requests from schools countrywide as well. So we also are trying to do our part as much as we can with the resources that we can. Here again, school gardens, easier said than done. Implementing it, easier said than done. So it is a step-by-step process. What we can talk about school gardens in the previous slide that I showed you, so many things. You can remove garbage from the environment. Here you can see the beds were made. A lot of plastics are making the beds around the different crops that you see there, and they are being painted. So you can use arts there. You can see there are two children with posters promoting healthy eating and what they have learned from science, the different shapes, mathematics. So using it as a teaching tool. So this is what I mean when I say school gardens can be used as a teaching tool and as a strategy for food security. And I would love to see that we would start to become more creative and innovative in the gardens that we do here in Belize, as the one that we're seeing here. This one here is in Guatemala. So when I say school gardens and we need to change the culture and make it a culture, it is by introducing it more and more, and schools and teachers and principals getting much more motivated into it you can actually also do one of these in your school settings as well. And you can also do your own organogram, as you can see here, to ensure that your school garden can work. Community involvement, your school environment, the community within the school is very important to engage, because if you have to, once you have the support of the parents, many things can happen. As I travel the country with our ministry, and we run into schools and the principals telling you that they get donations from this store or from that business. This is what it is about: community involvement, creating a public-private partnership. There is and there are organizations out there that are willing to help, but if they don't see what type of activity you want to engage in, then they don't know what your needs are. But if you start to tell them, if they start to see that you have a school garden and the next thing you don't have watering cans, the same parents, there are parents that have means. You all know that. They will come, what do you need for your school garden? Oh, well, for now I need a watering can, I need a rake, I need a hose, and so on and so forth. And little by little, engaging your school environment, your community more, you will start to see that things start to happen more and more. And then all those little challenges that you would have will then be taken care of. So planning, just like with our lesson plans for math, English, social studies, we also need to plan if we want to introduce a garden into our school. You can use it in arts and do your own designs of the setup and where you would want to where the space for the garden is, and so forth. In arts, within your own classroom, you can have a little competition. And if you note here, what was sketched in the exercise book is exactly what the how the garden is looking. So activities like these, being innovative, creative, you pass it on to your children and so forth, and then you will start to see that your school garden will start to get momentum. Here is where we get much more technical and agronomical when it comes to vegetables. And which types are we looking at? Are we talking about tubers or the leafy vegetables or the vegetables like tomato, cucumber that we think mainly of? And the spacing between when you plant one seedling to the other, we start to see it becomes important. And how many days when you transplant, and how many days do you need to wait before it's ready for you to harvest? And the type of plantation, if you note, there they say lettuce seedlings, cabbage seedlings, and so forth. Others you will know, like the radish. The radish, you don't necessarily need to do a seedling out of it. That can go directly into the soil. But again, knowing which ones you can directly plant, that is where agriculture comes in, and the agronomics of it. But again, by partnering with each of our districts have a agriculture coordinator and a station, and they have extension officers, and you can always and should seek technical assistance from them as well. So creating a culture, a schedule becomes important. In your own classroom, you can even have a small little garden just outside of your classroom. You can have a tire, those broken water bottles, the 5 gallons, fill them with soil, or use rocks to do your own beds. So you can even have a 3 or 4 tomato plants outside of your own classroom, and that can also work as well. And you can start to introduce the gardening skills for your own classroom as well. And then, of course, as as we get more into agriculture, it starts to get also much more technical, where you would need irrigation systems and so on and so forth. But again, as the most important thing is for us to learn the basics first, and then from there we start to build and develop and grow more. And in addition, depending on what we grow, and Dr. Steven was able to show you there, what we're trying to do is linking what we are growing. If it's tomato, for example, we want to do a nice colorful chart of why it is important to have tomatoes in our diet, which nutrients or vitamins are found in it, the importance of it to the body, and one or two basic menus of how you can introduce to children to like tomato, because most of our children, as you know, don't eat a lot of vegetables. So the importance of promoting healthy eating and so forth in the classroom and at home will also take some time, but eventually we will find a way, or should find a way, of how we can encourage our children to eat, and by letting them know what is in the tomato in the form of nutrients, minerals and vitamins is important. So the same way you do your cleaning schedule in your classroom. So Monday, John and Mary will sweep, and Tuesday, another two students, and so on. The same way you can also do with the school garden, who will water it on such days, who will remove weeds on another day, and so on and so forth. So all of these activities you can also do within your school environment. Again, irrigation systems, those are other technologies that are being used more and more. And also following up, evaluating what went wrong, that my tomato plants didn't grow well. One grew well, the other four died. So things like this, you can also follow up and evaluate and diagnose of perhaps what you did wrong the first time and what you should not do a second time, and so on and so forth. And children are curious. When you take them to the garden, they will be curious, and they will be learning within their own little space as to what perhaps they're finding there, if it's a grasshopper or a centipede, and so on and so forth. So definitely sustainability. The issue of sustainability becomes kind of a point of discussion, and school gardens can become sustainable once you have different items in place. A work plan, for example, having the community involved, educational activities, using the school garden for educational activities, continuous training for teachers and parents, planning for holidays. Right now, we in agriculture might not be thinking of this, but you, the teachers, might already know it. I'm aware of it because I was a teacher for many years. But you might be saying, "Oh, we agriculture are thinking, and the project are thinking right now of giving you seedlings to plant." And then I know you already are saying, "But Easter is coming." And then here you see planned holidays and vacation period. And then we in agriculture, we say, oops, we weren't aware of that. But again, see, that becomes an element of sustainability. So we will have the seedlings ready for you. Easter is right around the corner, and we will simply need to find a way of how to someone to take care of the watering it, the weeding, and so on and so forth. So that commitment does become a part of sustainability. Governmental and institutional support, you are getting it from us as an example. Partnerships, monitoring, evaluation. So all of these becomes element of sustainability to ensure that our school gardens continue throughout the year, the calendar year, and so on, and every year, and so forth. So even your preschoolers, you can take to your gardens and start to introduce them activities, and they like to go outdoors as well. Again, this is the interministerial collaboration that we are doing at the moment within government and the international partners supporting government ministries, AICA, as well as the Canadian Fund for Local Initiatives. So you can see that partnership collaboration is an important element of sustainability. So now linking what we have been talking and continuing with the issue of food security. That issue of food security comes way from 1974, when there was problem of production and trade and so on of food. So here is where for the first time the issue of availability first came to the supply side of food. And that then becomes important because if you have the supply side, then that determines the level of food production. We have tons of tomatoes right now and tons of sweet pepper. So there is the availability of those two crops, for example, right now at this moment in time. Whether we will have stability of it, that's for us to see, but more than likely we will have stability. And what we note, let's say from an agriculture point of view, abundance of a particular crop, like tomato, there is too much. What we see happening, the price drops. So you can buy tomato for a cheap price right now. Throughout the year, as the abundance drops, then we start to see that tomato price goes up. And these are things that we see in agriculture and becomes important. And then you can see that you can grow your own tomatoes at school and your own tomatoes in your own home garden. So you might say, oh, but why should I be buying tomato if I can grow it myself? And that's exactly the point that we in agriculture would want to see more and more. The access of it, we spoke as a dimension. The way the body utilizes it, making use of the nutrients. So food utilization, quantity, quality becomes an issue as well. And the phrase all people at all times. So we need to ensure that all people at all times should have the availability of food. And then at all times, then that brings us the issue of stability over a period of time. So food security, the four dimensions are very, very important to be happening simultaneously for us to be determined to be a food secure country. Access, availability, utilization, and stability. But again, in other parts of the world, there is the issue of food insecurity, where many people are not fortunate enough to have the stability of the food throughout the year. So that creates an issue of insecurity of food. And there are two major types that we can think of when it comes to insecurity of food: chronic and transitory. So the chronic one is persistent, long term. The transitory one is basically short term and temporary. And here we can see much more of what I'm trying to say. Chronic food security, poverty, and financial lack of finance to buy your food, and even instability within governments, wars. That becomes an issue, and that can give rise to chronic food insecurity. Now the transitory food insecurity, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, which would disrupt the food chain for a short period of time. So the same way we can be called a food secure country, there are other parts of the world that are food insecure. And food insecurity, you can actually measure it. And that can be measured depending on if you have the amount of calories that our body needs in order to have enough energy for the day, for the weeks, and so forth. And when we start to hear about food insecurity, that is where we start to hear about hunger and undernourishment and malnourishment and people not having the dietary energy consumption that is needed and so on and so forth. So we do have different parts of the world that suffer issues of food insecurity, and actually it can be measured. It can be measured. I think Doris was able to share with you all yesterday the experience in Toledo with just basic height and weight. That can give us a certain level of the nutritional status of a particular child. So, and based on the weight and the height, then a nutritionist is able to design certain menus, again, depending on the food that is available, because each district will have different crops. Yes, there will be a lot of similarities, but there will also be some differences. And a nutritionist would be able to determine and design menus to assist a particular child to improve his or her nutritional needs so that the child can grow healthy and have enough energy to do the activities that we want to do at school. Another way that is used to determine food insecurity is what we call the integrated food security humanitarian phase classification. And this is much more advanced. There are more indicators that you look at. If you note there, the crude mortality rate, the issue of birth rate, death rates, prevalence of malnutrition, information of that we can get out of the Ministry of Health. For example, a nutritional status of children under 5 years, pregnant women, and so forth. Food access availability, that would be agriculture, dietary diversity, Ministry of Health, and so on and so forth. So this is another, that's called IPC in short, the Integrated Food Phase Classification. It is a way that is also used to measure the food insecurity or the status of crisis within different regions of the world. So just to summarize, when it comes to food security, then it will exist only when all people at all times have the physical and economical access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets the dietary needs and preferences for an active and healthy life. 4 dimensions in order for that to happen: availability, access, the biological utilization, stability of the dimensions. And important is duration and severity also, because if there is the duration and severity enough food throughout, consistent throughout time, throughout the year, then that contributes to food insecurity. So understanding dimensions of food security then establishes priorities within our government to issue certain policies and programs in place to respond to food emergencies. And you can actually there are much more resources that you can actually refer to. And here the slide is showing it, national readings, where we can learn more about food security, food insecurity, how we can go about measuring it, and so on and so forth. And with that, I end my presentation. And thank you. Ms. Yvonne, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Emilio. Thank you very much, Mr. Emilio. Honestly, we hear about a lot of countries that is suffering from food insecurity, and we can see it happening in countries nearby. right, in our Latin American countries. And so we really don't want to reach that point in Belize where we are wondering where we'll get certain foods from. The COVID-19 pandemic has made a lot of food scarce, either scarce or the prices has gone up for certain food. So we have to know exactly how we can alleviate this by putting ourselves together to do a garden, a backyard garden, or do a school garden and start to eat from what we grow. I was feeling so good when we planted some beans, and for the first time ever, I got like a pound of beans, a pound of red beans, and I was taking the pods out and having the beans dry and everything. And I could safely say that I grew my own red beans and I cooked from my own red beans. So that's something you feel gratifying to do, right? So anybody have any questions in regards to what Mr. Miller spoke about? He spoke about food insecurity and food security, having access and availability, and being able to have a stable food source, and not having some vice versa, not having as versus persons having, and not having when you see hunger and malnutrition or malnourishment happening. Anybody? Any questions? We have 2 questions that we'll facilitate right now, and then we will go on to the other presenter. Teachers, you guys understood what Mr. Emilio said? Everything? Baldomar, Novella, you understood everything what was said? We have Candice State and Carlos Itzab. I'm calling out names just randomly. Okay, well.
Yes, Miss, I understand.
You understood exactly what Mr. Emilio was talking about. So you guys know the importance of, the importance of having food and cooking our own food. Yes, Candice?
Yes, Miss, I understand.
Okay, good, perfect. All right, well, Mr. Emilio, I guess you your presentation was clear enough. So I want to thank you guys. Let Mr. Emilio see your hands moving now, please. Put on
Thank you, Mr. Vaughan.
Put on your mics, put on your thing, and let Mr. Emilio see your hands moving. It's only appreciation. You know, these guys are all yeah. Thank you very much, very, very much. Okay. Blessings. Thank you once again. Okay. Now I want to introduce Mr. Miguel Huertas. Mr. Huertas has been he's an extension officer attached to the Orange Walk branch, and he is going to be talking to you now about basic gardening principles and maintaining school gardens. So guys, I want you to take in everything, soak in everything, because when we give you your seedlings, we would hope that you would be able to manage it, be able to reap from it, and get a whole lot of things out of it. So let's put Mr. Miguel Huertas in the limelight. Miguel, this is your show. You can go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughan. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Miguel.
Yes, Miguel.
Share your screen.
I'm having a little issue with the camera. The desktop doesn't have a webcam. So I'm trying to do it like that. Can everybody see my screen?
We are not hearing the presenter clearly.
Okay, you're hearing me, right?
I can hear you clear. How is my audio?
I can hear you.
I'm hearing you.
Everybody,
go ahead.
And I'm seeing.
Yeah, we're seeing your presentation now.
We're hearing you.
Okay, good.
Just
Um,
just just put it in presentation mode, Miguel. Yeah, just enlarge the slide. I mean, yep, in presentation mode. You know what I mean?
right, has it turned to presentation mode already?
Yeah, now yes, now yes.
Okay, all right. Does my slides moving?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Sir,
good.
yes, sir.
All right, let's begin. Good morning to you all. As Ms. Cad mentioned, my name is Miguel Huertas. I am Extension Officer for the District for Orange Walk, working along with Mr. Montero and Ms. Cad for a while ago. We have been working for school gardens and also assisting in backyard gardens for people who might need an assistance. For example, the elder or any who is interested in learning what is gardening, what is growing vegetables, or even growing some livestock. For example, some growers, poultry growers, or broilers, or local chickens. We assist on that on a small scale for backyard. Whenever it is more than not on the backyard, well, it is called farming. So we have I believe all districts has the same program. So if you are from your district, maybe you can find the extension officer attached to your zone, and he can assist. And maybe you, from working at school, you can also work at your backyard. I believe everybody has been impacted by this pandemic, and things have shifted a little bit. We are not fully 100% participating, well, being in school every day. So I'll show you what we have been doing through the pandemic, um, so you have an idea how Orange Walk has been from since. We don't want to leave the kids by just staying home, not doing agriculture anymore, but we have managed to work out something during the pandemic. Am I still loud and clear? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes,
You
sir.
can ask questions as the slides go. You can stop me any minute. You are feel free. No question is a wrong question. You know it better than me, right? You are educators. You are all teachers. We are trainers. We are teachers as well in the same sense that we need to transmit data or information to others. So feel free. I want to feel that participation from you guys. Sorry, I apologize for not seeing me, but let's make it as active as it can be. Everyone is okay with that?
Yes, sir.
I need to
Yes,
hear
sir.
more yes, more like
Yes,
I need
sir.
to hear just to get
Yes,
involved and
sir.
get the feeling of what will
Yes,
be
sir.
happening in a while. All right. Okay, in gardening, we have a few advantages. And whenever it comes to gardening, it is not just growing and harvesting. We have activities that can be carried out during this activity, this garden activity. For example, as we do gardening in not only in schools on our backyard, or anywhere we do any activity that needs to keep us active, is a way in which we can exercise. In this picture here, you can see we have a raised bed. We have irrigation system on the bed, but we also have a kid with a container. So that kid needs to move to fill the container and come back. So that's a part of the exercise that she needs to do during that activity. Am I right? Satisfaction of growing something useful. I believe during this pandemic we can testify, or we can attest that this is very useful now. Um, the prices has went up, and if we have our crop in school, or we have our vegetables, our cucumbers, our tomatoes growing, how can we feel that if we have a a kitchen we don't need to purchase, but we can have it just harvested at the back of our backyard over there, at the back of our school. Doesn't it feels like a relief rather than just purchasing? You have it right there and you know how you grow it. Doesn't it feel a nice sensation, guys? In number 3, it says save on grocery bills. The school have bills. We have several schools that have activities that is being we have activities that is being happening. Um, Sorry guys, I had someone in the window and I got distracted. Um, Save on grocery bills. For during the pandemic, we didn't have much activities happening in school. For example, fundraising and doing some activities to get some money going on school. But and if we might have activity during the day, one the kids going to school, and we if we have a feeding program, we'll need funds to purchase these products, these these vegetables. So if we have our garden at school, we can minimize costs. And one of the beautiful parts of it was number 4, that all ages can participate on this activity. Teachers, principals, the kids from infant 1. I enjoy seeing the kids from infant 1 up to standard 6 going to the garden and trying, feeling excited this garden day today. And today we have an activity, we plan everything. The kids on this picture, they had a task. They had to fill a plastic container, recycling a plastic container so we can do a raised bed with those plastic. And they were excited. That day, that morning, I remember when the kids went to school, they were all happy that they will use what they did at home for their garden. So it is a feeling that they are excited for what they are doing and they can participate, they can take part. A garden isn't easy to have established. However, we need to do some hard work, turning over the soil, fixing up the raised beds. It is not simple, and we need someone strong to do it. When we arrange for schools, we arrange the kids to the upper division to do the hard work. And whenever it comes to transplanting, to watering, well, we can use turning on the irrigation system, removing the weeds from the beds. We can use the other kids. The idea is to keep all the kids involved and learning throughout the course of gardening. Any questions up to here, guys? Are you hearing?
I guess they're good, Miguel.
Sir, yes, sir.
All right. I believe that they're not seeing me. That's why they cannot see the emotions I am putting here in my hands. All right.
Could I ask a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
How often do we need to fertilize the soil after planting and harvesting?
Okay.
Is it important?
Yes, it is very important as soon as you are preparing your beds. But it is more little ahead. But I have it on this presentation, the different types of soils of fertilization that can be carried out. We can choose between going totally natural by introducing manure and organic matter to the soil, or we can go on commercial and purchase granular fertilizers or foliar fertilizer and apply. It is safe. Those ones are safe, not chemicals as spraying for insecticide for controlling pests, but but for the past schools we have tried to go natural. Here in Yokirk, we have an agriculture station, and we gather the manure from the sheep, the manure from the chickens, and we do like an organic matter. We fix up everything. We wait until it is ready. We put some chippings on it, and we have a nice fertile soil, and we mix it with the gardens that we have around. I'll show you some images so you can have a better, clear idea of what I am saying here. But definitely that's a nice question and very important when establishing a garden.
Okay, thank you.
All right, here we have another advantage of whenever it comes to gardening, responsibility and independence. When we are out there, kids love and enjoy being out there free from being on a chair. They enjoy being out there, and it has a responsibility as well. Whenever it comes to planting, we have after transplanting we have very small plants, the seedlings, and they cannot and the kids cannot be running on top of the garden. The kids cannot be just pulling out. So it's a responsibility in which they also need to water the beds, and they begin learning and experiencing this plant is mine is what I heard from one of the kids one time. This other one is mine, and the other one said. So we noticed that this kid throughout that plant was growing, he was taking well care of the plant. He used to visit his plant every morning and to see if it had any happening to him, how it was growing, if any pest was on the plant, and he managed to learn that he needed to water every day. So that's part of responsibility. Whenever it comes to teamwork and communication, whenever it's part of building a garden, it is very essential. We need to learn to be a team players, and we need to learn to be the kids need to be a team. For example, if we are turning over the soil, everybody will have a rake, everybody will have a shovel, a fork, and everybody will have to do the work together. And they will communicate. They will tell him, "You will do first. When I am tired, I'll go next." And that's how they learn. Whenever it comes to grammar, mathematics, and science, we can take this as an example for you in class. For example, in this seed trays that we have down here, where you can see the kids on the table, I told the kids that they need to plant, for example, in one tree that has 50 seedlings. So they will divide it. For example, this wasn't this if it is not a big school, we will divide the trees between um, maybe 25 seeds of tomatoes and the 25 seeds of lettuce or cabbage. And there's where they implement their maths. They need to be counting grammar. They need to write here the date when the plant was the seeds were put it on the seed trees. They need to write the name of the plant of the name of the and variety of the vegetable that they are planting, and they have to write, yes, the date I mentioned already. And science, what soil, where soil comes from, and that's part of what we explain to them. And in science class, well, we can use all of these as well. A healthy lifestyle, whenever it comes to healthy lifestyle, they will learn that while they can eat what they can plant, and what they plant, they know what they add to it, and they know it is more safe than what we can find out there. Environmental awareness. This is very important for the days we are living now. We need to learn to plant our own food and to be aware that we need to take care of the environment. Big farms apply insecticide, herbicide, lots of chemicals. But if we have our own, we know we are not trying to apply no chemical but natural products. More on the slides, I have a image where we were applying a natural insecticide, and I will explain how that insecticide simple process and very effective. Any questions from here?
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Not a question, sir. Just a comment.
Sure.
I've done some gardening in my school, and I have also seen that the children's self-esteem is enhanced
Yes.
through
Which school is
gardening.
this?
This is a St. Oscar Romero, RC in Valley of Peace.
Okay, let's big up Valley of Peace.
Yeah, we've done some gardening, and yes, I've seen that children were probably not academically inclined, they would get really motivated when it comes to gardening. It's like if they undergo a transformation and then you see that they become responsible and they're eager to go, and they're learning in a way that's not too rigid, and they tend to participate, and then they would share their knowledge and experience when it comes to gardening.
That's
Because
right.
children here have a lot of knowledge because this is an agricultural community. So they
Yes.
are willing to share, and you see that their self-esteem is enhanced and learning is taking place. So definitely I agree with what you're saying.
Right. Thank you for sharing. Can any other one share his experience or her experience at their school? It is very important.
Hello, just to share an idea based on what this, I am really looking at it carefully because I love farming myself.
What school is
In
this from?
regards to this is a lifestyle. I'm talking all the way from St. Peter Cliver's School,
All right. All right. That's
Onagora.
good.
This is a training for life.
It is.
It's a young person, young children, or child growing up. This is going to be a life skill,
Exactly.
right? And then you mean the richest man in the world is a farmer.
Indeed.
You see, this is very important for us to instill in our students that the richest individual in the world is a farmer. And this is the way to start. And the beginning must start somewhere, and at the end of the day, it's going to be life.
Yes. One of the most important, I agree completely and totally with what you're saying. For the ministry, what we are trying to do in these activities is to motivate and put in the kids' mind that agriculture is not getting dirty. Agriculture is not just getting out there, getting messed up, but it is a source of income, a source of living, and it is important for us to learn and to transmit this information to them. And I believe from small, as you just said, they they will enjoy from small, and when they get big, well, they'll venture in these activities. Let's continue. The time is running. All right, things to consider while we establish a garden. What should we consider before establishing a garden? Um, from you guys, who doesn't have a garden in their school up to now? Never or haven't done a garden at your school. Miss Kat, do you have an idea how many out of the group we are? Yes, anyone? Anyone? Did something happen?
You stop sharing screen.
I did. Apologize.
Yeah, the screen is not on, Miguel. Yeah, it's coming on again. Yes, go ahead.
And the question I asked is, all schools have a garden, Miss Kat, or
No,
we are trying to?
no. All schools don't have a garden.
Okay, so it is a perfect presentation then. Let's be very
We have two
I-
persons that had their hand up, Kendra Allen and Wendy something.
all right.
Kendra, you want to say something?
No, it's okay. I already passed. Sorry.
All right, sure, no problem. And Wendy?
No, I was just raising my hand. He asked the question if we
Okay.
had a garden at school. So I said no. So I raised my hand saying no, I don't have one.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Okay, all right. Things to consider. First of all, we should consider a location. Some schools might have a big lot, but ours might be small. But that isn't a problem. We can do gardening anywhere, even in a classroom. So don't be afraid, don't be scared that you don't have a piece of land or anywhere. We can do a garden any place. Now in the days we are living, we can plant inside a room and we could put light inside there and that's enough. So don't be scared and we can figure out anywhere we can do. We can go from planting out to the ground and doing vertical planting. We have many methods nowadays. It is essential to do a garden layout. Once we have an assignated area, we can have a garden layout. Let's do a diagram, for example, 20 by 20, 30 by 30, 50 by 50, depends on how big it is or how does it look. And here is where I want to put cilantro this time. Here is where I want to put the tomatoes and just design your I have several designs, but I'd like to ask how you would like, and let's see what we can do from there. It is your choice, your school, your garden, and I'll just assist on how best should it look, how best we can plant, but it's your idea. The another one we need to consider very important is the soil type. If it is a very rich soil, we will add minimal. We can add minimal to source of fertilizer to it. But if it is not a well rich soil, well, we need to improve that soil. Whenever we come to types of crops, we need to learn the season. We need to learn what can grow in January, February, March, April, and because we have seasonal crops, and we need to identify what time we are during the year to see what we can plant. We need to learn and consider rotation of crops. For example, if we plant right now, we plant cabbage, later on we will not plant one of the same family, but we will plant maybe corn and so on. We will take in depth more of these what I'm saying right now ahead in the PowerPoint. Planting methods. We need to identify planting methods. We'll plant directly on the soil. We might plant on containers. We might plant on tires. We might plant on raised beds. And also we need to consider weed control. Weed control is very important. If we would have a cover structure in our school, which is a new technology that we should implement on our schools as well, it is excellent. But if we don't have and we are planted just outside, we need to be very conscious of weed control and pest control. So there is methods in which we can figure out, we can work out this garden, and we can be successful at the end. When it comes to location, it says location. We need to identify a water source to be around where we are planting. This school is Carmelita. That was an area where the kids used to run and play. We took advantage of this space and we tried to till the soil with the tiller. That is a manual tiller, very small, so it can get anywhere around your school. So it is small, simple, and it's diesel, doesn't burn much fuel. What we need to consider as well is sunlight. We don't need much trees around, many shade. It is important. We need some plants will grow in shady areas, but some will not. So we need to see exactly how we can lay out on where we can set our garden away from trees, since trees will compete from veggies nutrients. So it is important as well to consider all of that. We need a flat land to prevent runoff or erosion. Or if there is not, well, we can still find out a way where how we can plant, but it's best flat areas so we can run the water. We need to find an area where water doesn't get too much water in there, not on a area where we will have water, and once we plant our plants, they will might drown. Soil type. Soil type. Best garden best garden soil is loam. Equal amount of sun, silt, and clay. Organic matter, we need to introduce, I have a picture more ahead, in which we put organic matter to moisture and prevent plants with nutrients. Important one is the soil pH. This is science. You science teachers might be aware of this. pH range should be 6 to 7 for most vegetables. If it is too acidic or too alkaline, the plant might need some source of we need to fix the pH of the soil for plants to be grown successfully. Here I have an example on a school. We had if you can notice on this piece of land, oh, on the top, it looks white. We tilted with the tiller and we noticed it was sun. So we didn't have the options but just to tilt more down and to leave it up to there. Since it is too much sun, it is not too good for the plants. And on those sacks we had um, the the manure from the chickens, the manure from the sheep, the manure from the cows, and we put it together. We mix it with some chippings, and it decomposed, and now it is a very fertile soil. And we introduce it, or we mix it within the soil, and we established a garden on that school right there. That is St. Peter's from here in Orange. We prepare raised beds to plant and introduce the manure residues, leaves into the soil to increase the organic matter. Sandy soil best adds organic matter, helps to hold on the moisture and improve its. Here we have an example of how this on this side where you can see the fresh veggies. That's what we put together. We collect if we can at home or in the kitchen from the school, and later on we do. There is a process. There is a training specifically on doing the organic matter when we have this fertilizer, and what the person has on his hands is the outcome. After a few days, it is not good to introduce it just like that to the plants, since it will decompose and bacteria and fungus and all of that will be on it. Until it is dry, completely dry, it is good to the plants. Let's avoid just putting these ones, and until it is dry, we can add to the plants. Questions? Ms. Scott, I have until 10:30, right?
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Any questions up to there? Or I will start ask the questions. On the soils, what types of nutrients do I need? There is three more important whenever we go to purchase a fertilizer if we do commercial fertilizer. Does anyone know?
Yes, can I try?
Yes, go ahead. From where?
PG.
Okay, from the next side of the country, from north to the other side. Okay, go ahead.
We'll always look, farmers would look for NPK to add to the soil.
Did I put the slides? I didn't notice, or you have.
No, I did that class. I did that in high school. I did agriculture in high school. So I have a little idea about it.
All right, excellent. Well, you are right. It's right here. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And that is what, when we go to purchase a commercial fertilizer, we will find what we need and throughout the year, what time or what stage the plant is. For example, if you want the leaf, we will get more nitrogen. If we want more phosphorus, phosphorus, we want more roots to develop. It is phosphorus, and for flowering stage, it is a higher number on potassium. Like for example, here I have a 21,320. There are different numbers in which we can find depending on what we are planting and what we need. So yes, that you are right. That's what we see when we go to the stores. There's plant fed element on front of the bag, and this is an example. When you go to purchase a fertilizer, depending if it is granular or soluble, we'll have these numbers: 21 3K, 50. There is 20 20 20. It depends on what do you need. High nitrogen crops are for more leafy vegetables. High potassium crops are pods and crops, fruit crops, and high phosphorus, and high potassium crops are for crops, roots, and fruity crops. These are pods, beans, those are some examples. Okay, let's see how we can integrate that fertilizer to our soil whenever we tilt our soil. First of all, when you have our garden selected, we need to turn over the soil. And when we put in a tractor or a tiller, this is what you see. So one of the examples to fertilize your garden is the first one that I had on the image before, in which it was the use of organic fertilizer, where we just made the beds and put it on top and just mix it within the bed. But this is a broadcasting application of fertilizer, is the amount of fertilizer equally over the entire garden and mixed into soil before planting. If you can see, this doesn't have raised beds as yet. Only has their beds, the soil being turned over. But this is come whenever it is a granular fertilizer. Only granular fertilizer we can use for these. Applying fertilizer. This is a side dressing. Side dressing. Mix half into the soil before planting and apply the rest later on top of the soil of each side of the row, 3 to 4 inches from the stem. Can I have a question? Why shouldn't I put this fertilizer right on the stem of the plant? Anyone?
It will burn the stem?
That's right. The fertilizers are chemicals. It is more like a salt. And if we put it right on the plant, it will eventually burn the stem. If it touch the all the way to the leaves, it will burn the leaves. So it is best not to touch, but as how it says, half into the soil. This is just one type. As you can see, later on, it was covered and then it was put the rest later on top of the soil. The idea is for the soil to benefit of the to get on the soil and plant can benefit out of it. Not too far and not too close. Other one is banding. Place the fertilizer in rows 3 inches from each side of the row of seed or plant and slightly deeper than the depth of the plant. The idea for this one is for the roots. When the roots start to develop, they will benefit of all the fertilizer that was in there. We have a granular fertilizer and it takes longer for it to be on the soil completely, for it to dissolve on the soil. So this is another example in which is banding. This one here, whenever it says banding, it is around the plant. The previous one was all from one end to the other, but banding is around. You get me? How does it work? Right around the plant. This one is a new one, which is applying fertilizer as well, but it is a foliar fertilizer. It is a technique of feeding plants by applying liquid fertilizer directly to the leaves. Plants are able to absorb essential elements through their leaves. This is a chemical. It is a commercial fertilizer, but we also need to be careful how we apply. There is a specific dose, a dosage, or a dose for each plant and depend on the size of the plant. What this person is spraying now, it is not the same that you will spray to a seedling that we have just transplanted. It all depends on what we need and how much plants we have. Depends what will go on his pump. So this is very, very effective. Plants do benefit a lot from this one type of crops. Anyone from this school, or who knows which school is this? This is San Jose School from Orange Walk District. Type of crops. Whenever it comes to planting vegetables, we have root crops, in which one of them is what the kids has, where the roots expand in turning a crop, which is radish. We have carrots, we have jicama, we have potatoes, all the ones that are tubers. We also have cole crops, which are lettuce, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower. We have legumes, the one that runs, like for example, the beans, the string beans, the pumpkins, the this other one, cucumbers. Those are the ones that are more legumes. We have vines, yes, vines, crops. The pumpkin, the squash, the melon, the cucumbers. Those are the one that runs. This nightshade, tomatoes, peppers, eggplants grow on more shady areas. This is an example here in the image where we had corn here, and we planted, they were transplanting some tomatoes and sweet peppers. This was a activity we did while the pandemic. We couldn't meet as in school, but we targeted the kids that were interested in gardening. We did a group of kids from that school, particular school, and we went in training them online, and we visited their houses, and we did all those activities, turning over the soil, planting, and the activity was very successful. We have this one, in which is corn, and that drops under grasses. Root crops. Whenever it comes to root crop, we need a high aeration. We need the beds to be very high, very loose. Develop best in loose soils. For example, these beds you can see here is very high, very the beds are high. These beds we are from the image we used before are high beds. We integrated the manure on those ones. I have an image later on how it was the end of this garden we did. We have interplanting method. Interplanting is planting in between plants. For example, here we have three. We have corn, we have lettuce, and we have cabbage. The idea was to maximize the space. Once the corn is already big or growing, we can plant underneath and take advantage of the fertilizer we are applying, take advantage of the space. Plants are short-term crops with a longer-term plants, so more crops can be grown in a smaller space. Any question?
Yes, like what type of plants can you plant in this interplanting method?
Interplanting, for example, tell me one and I'll tell you which other one you can plant with that one. The idea of it is that once you have a space in between.
I'm not sure. I'm not a planter.
For example, if I have my plants are big already, for example, the same corn, I can take advantage and plant cilantro there. That will go excellent and will also work as a repellent. All I need to have is for the plants to be big enough and the space is available and not affecting the other crops. That's all we need.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I do plant corn.
Okay.
I have a farm whereby I plant corn and I plant also pumpkin.
Okay.
And it doesn't grow well, but I don't know for what reason. Some people told me that the flowers from the corn damages the plants underneath. So I don't know if that is true.
What I can say on that is that it has to be from the same family. When I say the same families, for example, if it is the normal corn we plant, the yellow corn, and we plant sweet corn beside, it is the pollination will affect. I can right there, yes, I can say if we plant, for example, watermelons and then we have cucumbers, then yes, it will affect. But from corn to melons, I don't believe it is. How did you fertilize it before planting? How is it, did you fertilize after planting? Remember that.
No,
while
no, we don't use any fertilizer. It's just natural. Yeah.
All right. Remember, while the corn is growing, it needs source of fertilizer, and if we put integrate the another one underneath, well, it will need more. The two of them will compete for what is on the ground. So that might have been one of the issues not being successful at the end. These are cool crops. For example, intolerant to hot weather but can withstand some cold. We have several, for example, we have on a picture, we have lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower. It can only be planted during November, December, January. The harvest can happen those times. We cannot harvest during the Easter because it's too hot and the plant will not grow, will not form what we are looking at the end outcome. What we need also is the shortest days possible, more nights. When if you have during the Christmas season, the night drops earlier, so that's what those plants need most. Watermelon, let's see, warm crops. Usually, a long growing season is needed. For example, for watermelon, watermelons withstand heat. Eggplants, peppers, okra, those withstand heat. So those are the ones we can plant throughout the Easter break. Those who are in this type of season that we are getting in, it's possible we can plant these ones.
What about pepitos? Pepitos can.
Yes, yeah, it is this under the same family as the it's a vine crop.
Can we plant pepitos among the corn?
Yes, you can do that. It can work. But once the corn is already big, remember as well, it might need, if the corn is too big and the space is not enough, remember the pepitos or the watermelons need some sunlight as well. And if it is too much shade for them underneath, well, they might not grow as well.
Oh, okay, thanks.
It depends. It depends how much you are planting. If you have acres, well, it doesn't need to be on the same. But for example, in the image that I had, it is a minimal space. So we try to maximize it. Here we have temperature that can tolerate. For example, these can withstand a wide variety of temperature from 55 to 80. Which one are those? Onions, carrots, potatoes, cucumber, pumpkins, beans, tomatoes, corn, but not the lettuce, not the broccoli, not the cauliflower. Legumes. Interplanting method can be used within the crop. Legumes add nitrogen to the soil and you can rotate with crops. Those are beans. Haven't you seen that after planting corn, it is like a tradition or what people do, plant beans after harvesting corn? It fixes up back the nitrogen on the soil. separate cucumber crops and melons to prevent cross-pollination, which results in aftertaste in melons. This is exactly what I was trying to explain a while ago. They pollinate within since they are in the same family. Use a trellis or a train and train them to grow up. And this is what we do as vertical planting. And this is one of the images we had. If you would have planted those cucumbers directly on the floor, on the ground, and not putting the trellis, you will not be able to walk with it where those cucumbers were. But if we do it vertical, we have more space and we can plant more in between. This was in San Jose government school. The kids harvested, if I am not mistaken, they did a good amount of fundraising with these cucumbers. It was not much cucumbers, but it was very, very productive. Our production was good. Corn. Plant in 9 inches rows to increase the garden space. Remember, corn needs high nitrogen. Rotate with legumes to utilize nitrogen already present in the soil. You see, beans is wrong. It will increase the nitrogen. Since the corn is a leafy, it has lots of leaf and it needs lots of nitrogen. So we can integrate the beans to put in nitrogen into the soil. Are we good? I have 2 words here we also need to consider when planting: determinate and indeterminate. Determinate is the plants only grow a certain height. Indeterminate plants that grows and grows and grows. For example, this is more whenever we plant in cover structures. Cover structures are greenhouses. I missed an image here. Whenever we plant a tomato, we prefer to plant indeterminate on a cover structure for tomato, so that tomato can bear all along. And there is a technique how we can let them grow, and we could still have them on side the cover structure or the greenhouse. So it is term very interesting. 2 terms there that we can consider while planting. I have a tip here for you. Crops such as beans and corn can be planted in interval of every 2 weeks so that they can be harvested at different times during the season. Can someone explain this for me? Crops such as beans and corn can be planted at interval of every 2 weeks so that they can be harvested at different times during the season. Can someone explain, please?
I think that if you plant all the corns one time and all the beans at one time, when it's time for you to reap, it will be too much, or the corn will get hard on you faster. I'm not sure.
That's right. For example, if we are in a school and we have corn planted, the school cannot have the kids, or if you want for it to last a good while, you will just harvest what you need today, and tomorrow you will harvest what you need tomorrow. So it is best to plant in 1 or 2 weeks apart. So what you planted this week, besides the next week, you will harvest it a week ahead. And that's right what you just said. If we have too much, what are we gonna do? We will have to sell. And following week, we have none. Thank you very much. Crop rotation is very important whenever we do planting. Decrease insect and disease problem. Utilize nutrients already in the soil by previous crops. For example, one example how you can do a rotation is a high nitrogen crop. Let's begin with corn. Then you can do a root crop. Maybe you can do a carrots, a nightshade, a tomato, and then you go back again to one that it is a high nitrogen crop, and so on. So you might minimize two important notes here. Minimize insect, pest and disease, and the other one utilize the the fertilizer that the other one didn't use or provided to the plant, to the soil. Use fresh seedling from a trusted source. Plant according to direction on the package. Build a mini greenhouse to protect seedlings from pests. We don't want to have directly to the sun. So avoid too much sunlight. This is a small structure we have here in our station, but a while ago we received a bigger structure where we can have more seeds growing at the same time. So it is important seedlings. Seedling is what you need to do your garden. Maybe we can have a seedling session later on. Any questions on this slide? Weed control. Weed control is very important whenever it comes to your garden. Remove weed, don't delay. We cannot let them grow. Remove weeds when they are less than 1 inch tall and remove roots too. Mulching. What is mulching? Leaves, wood shavings, grass or wooden chips not treated with any chemical before can work for mulching. For example, right in this school where we walk, we put chippings, the sawdust, so we can avoid the grass to grow easily, the weeds to grow easily. This is at Yokrek RC school. Pest control. This is we apply. This is the same garden, guys. This garden here is the same here. I believe it's different not the same plants, or is it? Let me see. No, it is different. Another season. What we did for this to be as a pesticide, as an insecticide, everybody have seen the orange peel. We got an orange peel from the market. There was a lady who sells oranges, and we took it to school. We did a small presentation for them where we boil it. We put on a pot. We put the orange peel. We boil it, and then we leave it to rest for the next day. The next day we had a liquid. We strain it and we put it on a container. Maybe on a 5-gallon container, depending how big you did. And that liquid we used to spray around the plants, and that is just perfect to eliminate all pests on the plants. Dispose of all plants. As soon as you see one plant or a plant was contaminated, was infected, you just dispose of that plant, burning the plant or burying the plant. Rotate crop. We shouldn't plant what we planted now. We will not plant next time. We'll plant a different crop. No use of chemicals is necessary. Let's keep safe. We cannot use chemicals whenever we have kids around. And what we consume, if we use safe products, we can attest that it is safer for us. I have a question. The little kid has a cabbage on where he's spraying, but for you teachers, when you go to the market, let's say in my right hand I have a shiny, pretty cabbage. And on my left hand, I have a cabbage with holes and with a worm on it. Which one would you prefer to buy? I want to hear from many of you. Which one
Can I
would you prefer?
try?
Yes,
Can I
please.
try?
Yes,
Morning.
please. Good morning.
Aha. I would buy the holy one because the holy one that where the insects eat. But the rich, healthier one is chemicals they use on that plant.
That's right. Okay. Any other comment besides that? Which one will you prefer? Or the question is, let's change it a little bit. Which one have you purchased before when you were in the market?
I could share something here.
Sure, go ahead.
Usually when I go to the market, I look for local products and that are grown naturally, and mostly I get from villages, from
Okay, good.
from farmers that I know that don't use much chemicals.
All right,
Because
that's good.
when you look at some of the product that they have in the market, some are very looking good, but they use a lot of chemicals on those, and
Right.
those leaves like the callaloo that are bore on that have bores on the leaves, they are natural, no chemicals on that one, so I prefer that one.
Yeah, that's a good comment. Thank you for that. Can I have another comment, please?
Okay, and I want to be honest. I'm not buying none with buy it up
How'd I go?
because I said I'm not buying no vegetable with buy it up. That's just me.
All right. Can you explain why?
Because by the time I reach where it must have spoil. I don't know. I just look on it like, who want the bite up one? Not me. So I left that for somebody else. I'll be honest.
All right,
That's
yes,
how I look at it.
I like for everyone, all of you to be honest and tell me what is you prefer when you go to the market.
Excuse
Any
me?
other one? Yes, please.
Question?
Sure.
Like she said, she doesn't buy it if it's bitten. Now, wouldn't for me, I would think that the bitten one might not have any pesticides. The person might not have any pesticide. That's why maybe an insect or two. But fruits that are not bitten, maybe the farmer is using pesticides. So I would prefer to be like without pesticide my fruits. That's what I would think.
All right, I like the comment. I would like to hear from another participant, any teacher, any other one. One more.
Sir, I have a question, but not pertaining to that what you asked.
Sure, go ahead.
Does that orange peeling works for ants? That we with the ants.
If I would prefer to use this where it is infested on the plant. It does work for ants. It does. It eliminates almost all pests. But it works for me. I haven't tried much on ants, but we have sprayed the beds completely, and the beds were safe, were clean afterwards.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure, welcome. Whenever it comes to the cabbages that I were trying to bring something to you guys. Some commented that would prefer the one with. I'm not saying one that half of it is not good, or the idea is that it is a cabbage, but it has some holes, some insect on it, and the other one is just a perfect cabbage, shiny, even shiny, right? Perfect. The idea is that whenever you see an insect or it has a pest on it, it automatically tells you that there was no use or a minimal use of pesticides. And what you're gonna consume, you can remove the two leaves from the top and you will have a nice cabbage. But what that indicates is that it is a safe product to consume. However, if you use or consume the one that is shiny, we can attest or we can say that that was what was sprayed every week or every 2 times per the week to control and have those beautiful cabbages. So, and what you're consuming is the cause of many cancer, many sicknesses out there. It's because of the use of those chemicals. And that's just an awareness that I am trying to bring to you guys. And not that the product isn't good, but it is safer for all of us. If we have this product planted behind my house, I am sure that I can eat a healthy product. But whenever it comes from outside, I don't know if the farmer sprayed today and if he farmer sprayed yesterday and he harvest today. I cannot say that. I don't know. But if I bring it down from my backyard or my school, I know when or what I applied. So it's just for you guys to think and to have an idea of what we are consuming.
Hello.
Yes.
I just wanted. Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just wanted to share something in
Sure.
regards to. I like the idea of what you're talking about in terms of control of pests and so on. I came across a book. I don't know if you can see my. I'm trying to on my video so that you can see the book that I am reading about.
Okay.
Because I am really into this gardening business.
All right.
And I'll be looking forward for that.
Just
I'm
give
reading
us
a book in terms of
the
I came
name of-
across
All right.
a garden in this in southern Belize. I don't know if you came across a book like this. It's from Plenty Belize and
Yes, it's a green book.
yes.
Yes, we
So
know that.
this is really educational in terms of looking at the different things about gardening. So I'm just sharing this information, and I don't know if the presenter came across this book, but it is
We had
very
that.
educational in terms of gardening.
Mr. Francisco, we had that book and we had given it out to different schools in the past.
All right. So we still have some at St. Peter Clipper School, but we will be looking at it very carefully, and then we are going to use the book to implement the different ideas.
Very good. Very good. Very good. All right. So here we have touched topics that is more on basic gardening, and here what I'll present is of some of the work that we have done. It is a few images here. We have so many to display, but the time doesn't allow. We do trainings with kids for what is a seed, where the seed comes from, how to put a seed on a seed tray and germinate. And they enjoy the activity. We did activity here where we cut tires. We show them how to do it. We didn't manage. They didn't do it. We do it for them, but just for them to be around and learning. We do trainings not only in class, but we do it outside. We do labeling the beds. We make them do most of it. Issue information flyers. We take them to see how a farmer within the village does his gardening. So for him to have an idea of what they will expect in a few time. Had a project where we issued tools. We issued rake, pump, shovels to schools here in Orange Walk. We took them to our station here in Yokirk. We have a agriculture station. We have chickens, pigs, bulls, fruit trees, everything here in the station, and kids enjoyed. We had an activity with the library, in which the library does every year. We train kids as well on different topics for the year. And this is what we did during the pandemic. You can see the kids were growing their own at their backyard. So they had, as how Mr. Montero mentioned, food security. That's very important nowadays. And it has been important since, but now that we are in this situation, it is like an eye opener. We shouldn't be take it as granted, but take it serious. This is a donation we did to another school, St. Peter's. This is the outcome of that garden that we prepared from the beginning. This is a family drip irrigation system, not a big garden, but we can harvest good produce from this garden. We have cabbages, hot peppers, tomatoes, and cucumbers on these. The tank is filled. The faucet is open and it waters the bed completely. We did virtual training with kids. This is Mr. Eric Silva from Pesticide Control Board. The importance and how we can protect ourselves from using pesticides and chemicals, proper use of chemicals and safety, and why use natural rather than pesticides. And this is one where we did with the collaboration with youth department and myself here in front, Mr. Edmar Pat in the middle, and Mr. Osorio from BFLA, Believe Family Life. We did a virtual training with the kids. This is my presentation for today. And what do you guys have any questions?
All right, guys, Mr. Huertas did a whole lot in regards to gardening in your school or in your community or in your yard. So Huertas spoke about spoke about a whole lot of things. The nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK, and he spoke about vine crops, about root crops, about interplanting methods and weed control and pesticides control. He spoke about a whole lot. So guys, this is a whole lot, but I want you guys to kind of ponder and see how best you would be able to approach this when you get your seedlings in the next month and a half, when we deliver your seedlings in your schools, because we want to see when we go back to your schools or here that you have already reaped and you have gotten something from the seedlings that we have given you, right? So all of you all who are on this workshop is going to get seedlings. We're going to give you posters and we're going to give you videos, right? So you all will be privy to all of these niceties because you're attending this workshop. Mr. Huertas, I want to say thank you very much for your presentation. It was very insightful, and I'm sure that the teachers will go back and do good with what they have heard from you. So, guys,
can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Teacher Sherma for Forest Home Methodist, I would like to know, Mr. Miguel, since Agriculture Department is just like a mile away from us by Elridgeville, do they assist the schools, like maybe at least the Rototilla for plow up first? Is that kind of assistance you like? I think that's what you do up north.
We here in Orange Walk, we do all around the district. We assist school. I am not sure who is assigned to schools and to work for you guys, but sure, you can visit the office, and they will put you in touch with someone who can definitely assist.
I can answer that, Miss. I can answer that.
Okay.
The same way Ministry of Education centers has an education officer assigned to school gardens. The same way Ministry of Agriculture has an extension officer assigned to school gardens. Like in Orange Walk, for example, in Orange Walk, it's Mr. Miguel, the extension officer assigned to school gardens in Orange Walk out of the agriculture department. And the education officer assigned to school garden, I think, is Miss Lisa Carballo. So it's important for those two to coordinate. In the
Okay.
case of PG,
Right.
I think the education officer assigned to school garden is Mr. George Tillett,
Okay.
and the extension officer from agriculture assigned to school garden is Mr. Victor Cook.
Okay.
So the best way to go around it is for you to liaise with your education officer assigned to school garden to touch base with our extension officer, or simply you just go straight to the agriculture station. The agriculture coordinator in charge of Toledo district is Mr. Eustaquio Tush, Mr. Tush.
Right. Yes, sir.
But as Mr. Huertas is saying, yes, that is one of the services that every district is supposed to be supporting with not only, let's say, schools, but also some farmers that want to till their soil, do beds, and so on and so forth. So yes, we should be providing that type of service to schools and to others that would want as well support, no?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
No problem. So that shouldn't be a problem, Miss Shima.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll work
Okay,
on
you're
that.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, guys, so you know that you can go to the district education centers and the district agricultural office to get assistance if needs be, right? And if you don't get those assistance, you call us. Call myself or call Mr. Emilio Montero, and we'll have these people jump on whatever bandwagon they need to jump on to assist you all. Okay, let's give Mr. Puertas a big round of applause. Guys, I'm not seeing you. We need to see you. We want to show him appreciation for his work that he did in regards to putting this together, right? So thank you, Mr. Huertas.
Sure, Ms. Scott, whenever you want another training, just coordinate as well, and maybe we can go more in depth. We have many topics to work on. And this was just an overview of everything.
All right, thank you very much.
One final comment, Ms. Yvonne, just 5-second comment. Teachers, you can also visit our agriculture stations if you want to have hands-on experience as to how you can go about doing things to improve on your gardens. That's one. Or two, we have a much more complete agriculture station in Central Farm. So you are also more than welcome to visit our Central Farm Agriculture Station, and there's a whole tons of different programs that we offer there for further exposure and further know-how to build on your knowledge that you might want to do. So you're welcome to visit our agriculture stations in every district or in Central Farm, or we have a much more complete station. So I want to extend that invitation to you all as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Emilio. Now, guys, I want to leave the best for last. We have with us Mr. Rudolph Konarky. And you know, from the time we started yesterday, we were talking about physical activity, doing something, some kind of movement in your classroom, because without that, we won't be able to stay healthy. So I want to invite Mr. Rudolph Kanaki. Mr. Rudolph Kanaki works with the Methodist community, and he's a teacher by profession for so many years. And I've asked him to give us a presentation on physical activity, what it is, what can be done in and outdoor. So let's welcome Mr. Kanaki. All right? Mr. Kanaki, it's your show. You can start sharing, Mr. Kanaki. Just a minute, guys.
Hello?
Mr. Kanaki.
You hearing me?
Yes, we are. You could start sharing.
I'm trying to think this one is giving me some trouble with the camera. So, when I have to do the jump up at the... So, Miss Scott? Hello?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
All right. What I will do is do this first part of the presentation. And then we take a 10 minutes break and then do the physical aspect so I could start out the camera.
Okay, go ahead.
You will project it, Mrs. Scott? Hello?
Did you send it by email?
Yes, I email it to you.
All right, we'll project it then. Mr. Lisa, can I ask you for you to project Mr. Kanaki's presentation? It's in the email. Thank you.
Sure, Miss Scott, just give me a minute to download it.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. We are here. We are seeing your presentation.
All right. What I'll be doing this morning is just share a few things about physical education and its benefits. And then Ms. Kalaspi will do a little activity to warm you up. So I'll just do the theory part first and then go into about half an hour. Ms. Scott said the last time I may have worked the teachers too hard, so we'll see if we can do it. Right? Scott, do I have to do an introduction or?
Go ahead, Mr. Kanaki.
So I have to introduce myself. I don't know if you did it already, so I'm just checking.
Tell them that you're from the Methodist community, but you can talk to them.
All right, thanks. All right. Morning again, teachers. My name is Rudolph Konerke. I work as a resource teacher for the Methodist management. And I could see some of the teachers, Methodist teachers in this training, so I'm familiar with them. I'm just going to share a bit about what I think about physical education and its benefits and why you really, really have to push it, especially this time of need. I'll be asking you to share little things, so don't be afraid to share as we go along. Now, the first thing I have here is, what is physical education? Now, for me, this is just a simple way to put it. It's a study of how and why people move. right? And it's based on physiology, psychology, sociology, and the mechanics and quality of movement. Now, I think many times, us as human beings, we take for granted how we move, how we do certain things. I know if some of you would think about basically how you got out your bed this morning, what were the movements? What were the different things that came together for you to just get up this morning and come out your bed? What are the different things for you where you are right now, sitting up, part of this program? The movement when you're walking to school, riding, or whatever. Think about it, but we just take it for granted and we don't study. So if for physical education, it simply looks at how and why people move. And that's why it works on so many different areas. But we always think that it's only the physical aspect because the name is physical education. So think about all the body movements, the running, the jumping, all the exercises and so on. And if you put it together, it will be simply looking at how and why people move and looking at the mechanics of body, of quality of movement. Now, another thing we want to look at is why do we need physical education? Can someone share briefly why you think we need physical education?
For
I would like to
wellness,
share that physical education is a good exercise for the body and keeps us healthy.
Yes, very good. Anybody else?
for our mental and physical health.
All right. Very good. Anyone else would like to share?
Can I share? Can I share?
Go ahead.
Morning, Mr. Kanaki.
Morning, Ms. Sharma.
From my point of view, physical education is very important, especially if you're a chronic patient, you have sugar, you have diabetes, and blood pressure. So that's from the the medical side of it, the health side of it.
The health side. All right, very good. Now, if you notice there, would someone like to read that slide for me, please?
Just as our taught.
Go ahead.
Just as we are taught to speak, count, write, we need to be taught how to use our bodies effectively and become physically fit for life. Physical education helps children develop fitness, become independent learners, and develop social skills by interacting with other students. It's the only area of education that focuses on educating the whole child.
All right, very good. Thanks very much. Now, why do we need it? You see, when you start thinking about the students, especially in the early grades, preschool and so on, when they come to school, we just go back a little with the previous slide. Hello? All right, thanks. Yes, we teach children how to talk, how to count, how to write. But for most of us, we don't really think about teaching them how to use their bodies effectively. And so sometimes for the people who teach the early grades, they would realize that sometimes we have students and then you see they don't move like others and so on. And you hear, because we'll hear even parents or teachers would comment, oh, this boy or this girl only clumsy, can't control the body, can't balance or so on. And we just take it for granted, but we need to teach them how to do that. One of the things we are grateful for and thankful in Belize is because A lot of our children come to us already being able to do things with their bodies because of the kind of environment we have. We have yard, they could run about, they climb tree, they ride bicycles and all of that. In some countries, there are children who go from school straight into a room and they just are locked in there until they come out back. The next morning, they don't do any physical activity, so they don't get the chance to learn on the outside world. We are a little bit better because most of the children come to us, but you'll see at times teachers that we have students who, for some reason, have difficulty controlling their bodies. But no one taught that child how to use the body. No one taught that child how to run, how to jump, because those are skills. So we need it just like how we teach children how to speak, conk, and write. We need to teach them how to use their bodies and become physically fit. And you notice where it says it helps the children with not only fitness, but become independent learners. And a big thing there, they develop social skills. Physical education really helps with developing social skills, which for the most part, you will see teachers that it seems that we are lacking and we are getting worse and worse with our social skills. We don't know how to treat each other. You know, you notice, and that's, we would say simple things stir a fight or so on, right? And some of you might say that I'm a little biased here, but if you think about it, what that last sentence is saying, it's the only area of education that focuses on educating the whole child. So if it does that, why do we in Belize don't pay attention to it? Why we just throw it on the side, do it if we want, even if it's on the timetable. When that time comes, we find everything else to do except physical education. If we are to practice for a dance or for harvest or so on, we use the PE time to do that. When this is supposed to be something that will help our students to develop, right? All right, next slide, please. So why should we bother to be physically active? Can I get a volunteer to help me read, please?
It improves your overall health. It helps your psychologically, mentally, and socially. Children who engage in vigorous physical education programs become more active in their free time and during vacations. The skills that children learn is a structured physical education program are used not only during the childhood, but are carried into later life, giving them a lifetime of health benefits. Healthy children become healthy adults.
All right, very good. So why should we bother to do this, to do physical activity? Now, as I listened in from yesterday to the presenters that shared with you, you notice that they always add physical. When your presenter was telling you, at least do it for 30 minutes, where he was explaining to you, walking from here to 1 year in 15 minutes, and you have to go back, that's another 15. So you'll see all of this with the nutrition and everything from yesterday, that physical education or physical activity is part of this. You can't be eating right and not do any physical activity, or you could be doing physical activity. You need to eat right, sleep right. So it improves your overall health. Notice there it helps you mentally, socially, psychologically. Now, if you are part, and I don't know if you have seen students in your school or your own children or in your neighborhood that always seem active, they love sports and so on. If you observe those students, it doesn't matter what time of the year, whether they're on vacation and so on, they still find time to be very active. They might be doing things that we don't like, but you always see them on the move. They might be running around during the holiday. They get involved in summer programs for sports, whatever. So if you are physically active, you want to do it the whole year. You won't take a break and say, when school closed, that's it for me when it comes to physical activity. Your students who are engaged in programs, they will continue to be active throughout the year. And you notice I'm talking, you see there, physical education program, which is something we have to discuss, because I know for most schools, especially the primary schools, there are no real physical education program. You have the physical education curriculum, but for example, for the whole school, your school might not have set up a program where run through, if you have from preschool to standard 6, or from infant 1 to wherever, standard 6, most schools don't have that type of program set up, right? And so remember, the last thing, say, healthy children become healthy adults. And if we have healthy children and healthy adults, everything changes. We live longer, less medical bills, and so on, right? All right, next slide. All right, physical benefits. We have a volunteer to help me read, please.
Reduces the risk of heart disease. Go ahead.
Physical benefits. 1, reduces the risk of heart disease. 2, improves physical fitness. 3, makes bones stronger. 4, helps in weight regulation. 5, promotes active, healthy lifestyles.
All right, very good. And you notice, as I said, it linked right back to what you were doing yesterday and this morning. Reduce the risk of heart disease. Physical education, physical activity can counteract the 4 major risk factors when you have coronary heart disease. And you hear about this, and someone just mentioned it: high blood pressure, high sugar levels, obesity, inactivity, high cholesterol levels. Physical education, one of the benefits is physical education. Physical activity will help to reduce it. Your physical fitness, it improves it. If you have a good physical education program, or even one for yourselves, teachers, you could develop your own little program at home with your exercise and so on. It will develop your muscular strength, your flexibility, which is something that we lose with age. Some of you could remember, both ladies and gents here, when you could have done all kind of thing with your body, twist, the split, you could tumble and all of that. And now at this age, you'll say, it's just memory, because you lose your flexibility. But with physical education and programs and activity, you can help with your flexibility, your muscle endurance, your body composition, your fat to muscle ratio. All of these can be improved with physical activity. Makes your bones stronger, especially young children. And they reduce the risk of, some bone sickness, like osteoporosis, right? Some of you may, and things like where your limbs, they just stiffen up, or where some people say it seems like bone rubbing against bone, right? And also another thing that it improves is posture. The child who is physically active, or you yourself who are physically active, your whole posture change, the way you sit down. Some of you in class may have to spend a lot of time trying to get children to sit right. A lot of times it's because they are not physically in good physical condition, which might stem from exercise, or even if they didn't eat, right? Helps in weight regulation. You have a good program. what most people are trying to do. Regulate your weight, burning calories. You heard yesterday morning from your presenter about how many calories with those meat pies. The physical activity will help you burn out those calories, like what he was saying. You could walk, take your little jog, ride. It will burn them off. It promotes active, healthy lifestyle, right? Develop your motor skills and so on, and promote health and fitness throughout. So if you do this program and you go into an adult, it will stay with you. All right, next slide. Psychological and social benefits. One volunteer, please.
Number 1, improve self-confidence and self-esteem. 2, provides an outlet for stress. 3, strengthens peer relationships. 4, reduces the risk of depression. 5, promotes healthier lifestyles.
All right, thanks very much. Social benefits, psychological and social, self-confidence and self-esteem, which we need to develop in our young people. Try to get them to be more active. It will help them to really be self-confident, promotes an outlet for stress. And think about it, for your own personal benefit, teachers, you're stressed out. You have a physical activity will help you to release the stress, which might lead you to get into trouble. So try the way out you're getting, take a little walk around the block. It will help. It also strengthens peer relationship, reduce the risk of depression. You know, when stress lead to depression and could lead to what we don't want, suicide. And the statistics have been showing that suicide have increased over the years in terms of our young people. We might say it's not bad in here, we don't pay attention to it a lot compared to some other countries that experience so many suicide per day, especially with young people, right? And it promotes healthier lifestyles. All right, next slide, please. All right, the mental benefit. One volunteer.
1, improves academic performance. 2, increases interest in learning. 3, improves judgment. 4, promotes self-discipline. 5, encourages goal setting.
Yes, see the number 1 point there. A lot of people don't believe in this, but physical education, any activity helps to improve academic performance. A lot of times we hear people say that if you're involved in physical activity, physical education and sports, that's in the local terms. We like to say, oh, that for the picnic, we can't learn it. Or way back they said it don't see picnic. No. The best athletes have also have very good academic performance. And that's why you'll see if you check the American system, especially for their professional league, the majority of their players comes from a education program, from a college or a high school. So they are thinking that you must do some kind of education before you can actually play professional. While sometimes in Belize, and some of you would know some, especially some young men who think that they don't have to go to school or do any kind of education if they want to be successful in sports. In other countries, that's a no. You have to go to school to do sports because they realize that sports help to improve your performance academically. increase interest in learning. Many times that's one of the cry for teachers, that the students are not interested. How can I motivate them? Okay, you know, if you don't motivate anybody, nothing will happen. So maybe you could try through some kind of physical activity or sport to increase their interest. It improves judgment, self-discipline. Thinking about self-discipline, it helps you to discipline. For example, any one of you teachers now decide to, or maybe some of you are doing it, some kind of program for yourselves. Think about yourselves right now, not the students. And say, I will do a training 4 days for the week. You have to, if you decide to do that, have some kind of self-discipline. For example, discipline to set up the time when you will do it, how long you'll do it, put it on your plan. And after that, it also helps with the self-discipline in terms of what you put into your body. None of you would want to spend 30 minutes to an hour working out hard. And when you are finished with that, you come back and put something like, you go and say, you don't work out there, and then right after that, you go eat one $10 lychee chicken. You would say, no, that's not working. I don't put in hard work, so why would I do that? So that is another, it helps you to discipline. For example, so I'm not going to buy any lychee chicken because I already put in so much work to take care of my body. Why I would put in something? Well, I'm just using lychee as an example with a lot of fat that I know I'm not good for my body. So it helps to promote self-discipline that I know, all right, I might have to get something that is nutritious, some vegetables or so on after I put in my workout or so on, right? And encourage goal setting. All right, other slide, please. All right, this one says simply is physical education, just play sports. One volunteer, please.
No, physical education is for all children, regardless of their level of ability or skill. Sports are generally for physically gifted students. Physical education involves a developmental progression as the child grows. In the lower grades, it deals with basic body movement skills. In the upper primary grades, it deals with sport skills that students can continue to use for life.
All right, so physical education is just not any play, just play. So teachers, I shouldn't see you if you go back to your class and you're doing PE, where you just have the children running about, and then you under a tree, or you out with your umbrella and your high heel shoes, your nice uniform, and just looking on. That's not physical education. It's done in a certain way. And I know one of the things is that most of you would say you don't have the training and expertise to really do it. But it's not just to run around and think. And it's for all children. There's some, with the inclusive things that are happening now, some of you would end up with a student may say in a wheelchair, a student, a blind student or so on. When it's PE time, you can't take those students and leave them in the principal office. They have to be a part, you have to set up something for them. Physical education is for everybody. You can't just leave them in a corner or so on. Just like if you are going on a field trip, all students should go, not because this one is blind, you can't go on the field trip or so on. So it's for everybody. But notice that in the early grades, and I hope some of you, well, you should have the curriculum, you'll show that in the early grades, you teach children things like how to run, jump, and so on. And later on, it goes up to where they go into the sports and so on. It's a progression thing, right? It's not just that, because you have to teach the basic skills. If the child can't run, then how would the child play any sport? If the child can't catch, teach a child to catch in the early grade, how do you end up when they reach standard 4, 5 and you're teaching them, say, softball, right? So that's what it is. check the curriculum and use it. All right, next slide. All right, this is simply about most of you, and I know, don't have a physical education program. So you might not be able to know it's a good program, but if you get to set up a program using the curriculum, everything should be sequential and for the development needs for each child. There are some schools, mostly high schools, where they might have a PE teacher. I know in a primary school, it's the same teacher that would do everything. And so it might be a little challenge, but that still doesn't mean you can't set up a program. And so in your class, and the program has to be sequential and consistent. So when if the child, the program shouldn't depend on the class teacher. If the class teacher in Infant 1 feel like doing PE, then he or she does that. And when you get to Infant 2, if the teacher there don't want to do PE, that's it for the child, no PE in Infant 2. No, it shouldn't be like that. The program, every class should have a set program with PE and the different skills and things to teach them. All right. Go ahead, the technician. All right, so that's just basic theory. What I want to ask you briefly, and what time is going, you could share. And I want you to be honest. Don't be afraid, teachers, to share. Nobody will lash you or anything. But with this COVID, I want you to tell me, have you done anything in physical education? And if you have done anything, how did you go about doing it? Just like how you did, people I know they are doing math and English. How about physical education, PE? Can anyone share? Be honest, if you haven't done anything, just say so, no problem. Anyone?
Anyone who want to share?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Kanarki, since
Yes.
school has opened and due to the COVID protocols, most of the physical games were in contact with students. So I'm thinking maybe you would have known some sort of games we could play, because I'm lost when it comes to that with my students, because even the football, they do have contact and we always have to look out for our students. So it's difficult right now. For me then, I don't know what would be the games.
All right, thanks, Ms. Sherman. Anyone else want to share?
Just to share a little, actually, it's basic things that I mean, like incorporate in learning, teaching. It's like clapping hands, shaking, a little bit of dancing, breathing in and out. They're like basic little things that I involve to arouse them and to burn a little bit of calories.
How did you do it? What means it? Video, how did you get?
Actually, we do it in class.
Oh, in
Clapping,
class.
a little bit of dancing. You see, all the different little movements that we do so that we can let the mind relax a little bit.
All right. Anyone else? Thanks very much, sir.
Hello, same here. I integrate or I link physical education in mostly language arts because of the movement. We move around, we jump, playing a game. So I just link the physical education to a subject most of all in language arts.
All right. Thanks very much. I see Miss Jolly. Joelle.
Yes, Joelle.
Yes, Joelle. You spoke just, it was Joelle that spoke just now?
Yes, sir. Joelle Martinez,
Oh, all right,
Methodist School.
Joelle. All right. I just see your hand still raised, so I was. All right. So what happens? A lot of people have crushed the concept of physical education. That's why I said for you to be honest. Start checking with a lot of schools. They have said that they only limit the children more to maybe math, English, science, and so on. But I'm encouraging you all to find a way to get your students involved in physical activity. It's very, very important. You notice from yesterday, the presenters have been preaching that to you. And also I want especially for you all to think about yourselves as teachers. You know, a lot more teachers are getting sick at a very early age. You know, back in the days, they would say, people, you don't get sick until you're a certain age, but now and some of you might have come across a co-worker or someone with some serious thing by maybe 30, age 30, 35, and all of that. So you check back to your physical activity and what you put in your body from an early age. So I'm also encouraging you people, not only for the students, but for yourselves. If you are not doing any physical activity, you need to try and get yourself involved. It will help you, not only for yourself, but for your own family. Buying certain things, I think, when your presenter told you that, eating and buying things like vegetables will save you a lot of money from the doctor. Some of you know just to make an appointment with a doctor, it costs. You know, so try to get involved. And if you haven't started or do anything as yet, especially with COVID, what some of you will notice or have noticed already, that you left your students, what was it, say March 2020. There are some schools who are just actually getting children back. Most of the time it was packages and things like that. Look at the, what do you say, the size or the weight gain of your students. Some of you might want to do that. Just do a little study and try to, if maybe the child was not with you, maybe at 2 years, but try to picture that child and see from that March 2020 to now, you have seen that some students actually gain some, what do you say, we'll see, mad weight, we would say. You know, so just think any questions or thing for me before we do a little physical activity. All right, so we'll take a little, take a little 5 minutes break, Mrs. Scott. Tell them put on a little where they are, get a little. I will just do some basic things because we only have about 20 minutes, I believe.
Uh-huh. You want some music, Mr. Kanaki?
How much?
You want some music?
Yes, that would help.
Okay.
Yes, so just 5 minutes, Miss Scott break, and then we'll come back in.
Okay, guys, go on stretch and go to the bathroom. Just come back quickly to us. Are you ready, Mr. Kanaki?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, people, you are back at your seats. You need to make this happen. Let's continue on. We need to see your cameras on now, because we have to see if you are participating. So we need your cameras on, okay?
Yeah, see me, Miss Scott?
Everybody has to have on their cameras now, okay? Everybody has to have on their cameras. Please, we need to see your cameras on. So we need to see if you are participating, but you have to get up. Everybody will have to get up.
They have to stand. They can't do
yes.
sitting down.
Everybody will have to stand up. And we need to see you participating, actively participating. Okay? This is the last part of the workshop, and we need to ensure that you are participating.
So they can you see me? Can you all see me?
We have 48 people, and I need to see your cameras on. Please, I need to see your cameras on.
We can see you, sir.
They can see me?
Yes, we can.
All right.
I need to see all of their cameras on before we start, sir.
All right, no problem.
Come on, guys. Let's do this quickly. It's like 10 minutes, and then we are done.
Yeah.
Hello, I need to see all your cameras on. Can we see, Elisa, can you put it so that I can see everybody's cameras on? Everybody has to participate in this 10-minute session. I'm not seeing everybody on, please. I didn't get on. How can I see everybody on?
We can't see everybody on, Miss Scott. It's just
that, right?
Okay, all right, good. I'm seeing you now. That's good. Okay. Go ahead and kind of put on the music, Miss Alisa.
All right. You all ready? All right, we'll do some breathing exercise first. Just go up on your toes, breathe in, and you come down, you breathe out. Up. When you go up, you breathe in. When you come down, you breathe out. Go up on, again, up on the toes, we breathe in. Release, come down. All right. Now I want you to grab your arm like this. One cross. And you just don't jerk your arm because you might get hurt. Just hold it right there and stretch it. One spot, no. All right, switch over, next hand, switch. What you do to one side, you do to the next. You'll be stretching the shoulder. Five.
Mr. Kanaki, could you please step back a little bit so I can see you better?
Oh no.
Yes, we are seeing
Yes,
you.
thank you.
All right, down. Now put it, one of your hand over your head, and you hold it like that. Put your hand behind the, and you just hold it back. No jerking, remember? All right, switch hand, next hand. Switch over.
Yeah, no, that with my next hand. Yes.
Just hold it. It will work out, man. Just put this one in. All right, down. Down. Just work it out, flip it out. Flip it out. All right. Now we work the shoulders, right? Hands to your side. And you just bring the shoulders up to the neck. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, reverse it now. Go backwards now. 1. All right, good. Now we work the neck. Your hands on your waist. Then we do the neck. We work the neck, one direction neck. 1. Work the neck. Take your time now. You don't want to get dizzy. 5. All right, reverse it now. All right, good. Now the same neck from side to side. Up, right, up, left, up, right, up, left, up, right, up. All right, good. Arms straight out, straight to the side. Now we'll gently rotate them. Don't drop your arms until I say to drop them, right, teachers? Keep them out, so we rotate them back now. Let's go. 1, small little. Don't drop them, keep them up. Don't drop them. All right, reverse it the next way without dropping it, keeping it out there. Keep it, don't drop your arms, keep it up. All right, keep it up. We'll do the lower wrist. Keep them out though, don't drop them. Lower wrist. Turn your wrist.
That's the
Lower wrist. All right, keep them up. The lower fingers now. Look out your fingers. Lower fingers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, drop them. Just work them out a little. You'll feel a little discomfort. Just move them around a little. All right, now we hype it up. It's got no music as yet. You haven't got any music? All right. So we'll start jogging right where you are, right on the spot. Just jog. Move it, teachers. Slight jog. Come on, move. I'm not seeing everyone moving. All right, bring up the legs a little. All right, put your hands out in front of you while you're jogging, and we'll bring the leg up to the hands, right? 1. Come on, bring the legs to the hand. All right, stop, stop. Breathe in, out. Breathe in, out. All right, start to jog, slight jogging again. All right, now put your hands straight down to the side. Still jogging, don't stop. Take the heel and bring it up to your hand, right? So it will look like this. Your back should be straight. Keep your back straight with your hands straight down and bring your heel to touch it. Come on, let's go. 1. Come on, teachers. All right, stop. Breathe in. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. All right, we'll do some jumping jacks. Now listen, teachers, if your knees are not good, I don't want you to jump like that. Because one say me and Ms. Scott and the Ministry of Education is responsible for your knees, right? So if you can't jump, just do this. Right? You just move in and out. Right? For the people whose knees are not good, but for the others, it's called jumping jack. So you can't do it without jumping, right? So let's go. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's stop. Again. Jogging. Some jobs you start with the find some jobs. Jobs with the left hand. 3, 4. Come on, jobs with the left hand. Right, switch over to the next hand. And jobs teacher, like your jobs out of someone. One, 2, 3. Pick out the legs to the side. 4, 5. Make sure you have some space. All right, stop. Breathe in. Out. In. Out. All right. Now we'll just stretch up. Oh, I see. Oh, thanks. I see some students there. Thanks for joining, students. I don't know what school it is, but thanks. I hope you're enjoying this. All right. So go up on your toes. All right.
Bottom would be Nazarene Primary School.
Great. Which one of the school? Nazarene?
Bottom would be, yes.
All right. Welcome. All right. So go up. All right. Take your hands and go straight down. Your toes, go as far as you could. Don't bend your knees. Just go and hold, no bouncing. Just go and stay. All right, up. All right. Take your left leg and put it over the right one. Can you see me doing? And just hold a balance. Put the left leg across. If you're seeing me. And then you go down and stretch the same way. Down and hold. No jerking, just go as far as you could. You'll feel the hamstring, the big muscle behind your leg stretching. Just go down, jerk, go down. All right. Up. Take the right leg now and cross it over the left. We do the next right now, the right over the left. And go down and hold. Just go as far as you could. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, good. All right, up. Put your hands behind your back like this. Like that, and we'll just stretch. Just go back. Take your time. I don't want you to hurt your back. Just go back and stretch your back. All right, good. All right, one hand up. See this hand? Take it and slide it down your leg and pull. You'll be stretching in here now, right? Just slide the next hand down. Yeah. Feel it in here. The side here, you'll be stretching. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch over now, next side. All right, up. All right, up. Put out your left foot forward, bring up your toe point. Your left foot, see, bring up the toe point, and you'll take your left hand and go and hold your toe and stay. Take and go down, and just hold. The toe point should be up a little. You'll feel your calves, you're stretching your calves now. The muscle behind that leg, just go and hold. Hold, hold. No jerking, very dangerous. Might pop something there that we can't fix right now. All right? All right, good. Next foot now. Put out the right foot with the toe up. Right foot out, forward in front. Toe up and go down with the right hand and hold on to your toe point. Just hold. Come on, feel that calves stretch. All right, good. Now, if you are close to a chair, something that you could hold on, maybe some of the students could balance without holding. You lift up your left leg. If you can't balance, you find yourself can't balance, just put out your hand and it will help you to balance your body. Or people, if you can hold on to a chair or anything, just hold on. You'll be stretching this big muscle up in the front here, right? So if you can't balance, just put out your hand, right? Or hold on to a chair. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch. Next foot now. No matter what you do to one, you have to do to the next. Yes, pull this. You're stretching this big muscle right here. All right. Good. All right. I know it's close to 12, so we'll just do some cool down now. Because I know Miss Carter close off and you might want to get your lunch. So let's do some cool down now, although we didn't really sweat. Go up and breathe in. Come down, out. All right. So when you're doing the breathing exercise, it's very important. It's actually a skill. How we might take it for granted, but you have to teach children and teach yourself how to breathe, right? So one more time, up, down. All right? Grab your hand again. See me? Just stretch right here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch over. Hold right here. And it's the shoulder here, you're stretching. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, just move them up. Shake them up. All right, listen now. Spread your legs a little. I want you to imagine you have one of the thickest rubber band you ever know. Thick rubber band. You have it in your hand, right? Only rubber band. And we want to pull this rubber band apart. But remember, this rubber band is thick. It's not the little one you can buy at the shop. So hold the rubber band. Now we'll try to stretch it. Come on, stretch. Fight the rubber band. If you fight your pull, remember that thick rubber band, the thickest pull up. Bring it back together now. All right, now pull one more time. Pull the rubber band, stretch it. Stretch, come on, stretch it. Did you fight with your powerful rubber band? Bring it back. All right, good. Break it out. All right, breathe in. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. All right, this last one, I want to keep in this breathing a little longer. Come on, in. Keep this one in. Breathe in. Out. Breathe out. All right. So, thank you very much for the short time we had together. I hope the little stretching will help you and make you feel a little more relaxed. And maybe you want to have your lunch. Thanks for the students who are a part of it, to my surprise, but I hope they enjoy it. See how children love exercise, right, teachers? Usually we are the ones who don't like it, right? But you see how involved those children were. So they want it, so I'm encouraging you not only for the children, but also for yourselves. Get active. Don't let COVID thing, even if you have COVID isolation in that house, people I have discussed say when they were in isolation at COVID, they were like mad. So I was encouraging them, do a little exercise while you're on isolation or with COVID. Don't just sit up in this lap room, you'll get stressed out, you'll get depressed. Physical activity will help you. Bear in mind, too, teachers, that you can do a lot of physical activity right in your own classroom. Don't think that you have to have a big playing field or so on. You can put the chairs to the side the same way